Hello, everyone. Extremely happy to welcome you all to our fourth webinar on our five-part exclusive Cloud FinOps webinar series. We couldn't thank you enough for all your continuous support to our webinar series so far. The feedback, the questions we receive after the sessions shows our success, and also the need for Cloud FinOps is something that is inevitable, and that is something we could assure it is the need of the hour. So saying that, let's get into today's webinar. The topic is Mastering Cloud FinOps Strategies for Multi-Platform Cost Optimization. So we have with us our expert speaker, Madhu Kumar, founder and CEO of Amidus Technologies, to shed light on the same. Welcome, Madhu.
Thank you, Sindhu. It's a pleasure to be here. It's fun.
Pleasure as well. So let me share the presentation for the audience.
Okay.
So the agenda goes like this. We'll start with the trends of multi-cloud adoption, the challenges, the typical challenges faced in the industry when it comes to multi-cloud cost optimization, followed by the strategies for effective multi-platform cloud FinOps, and the best practices and tools we can leverage on to do the needful. So before I hand over the session to Madhu Kumar, audience, for all your queries on this particular topic, please post all your questions on the comment section. Madhu will take that at the end. With that said, Madhu, it's all yours.
Thank you, Sindhu. It's a great session. In fact, the topic of multi-cloud, I'm glad you put up this slide for the audience. I think if we look back 5-10 years, there has been clear-cut early adopters of cloud from hyperscalers. Then came competition. Enterprises were looking at options. I think it is post-pandemic. It is vital and clear that all organizations, whether our own customers or when I speak to audiences, it is a natural tendency for everybody to look at what's going on in other hyperscaler advancements, and everyone is running faster than each other. So, with all these platforms, while they are competing, the biggest thing I watch is in platforms like Oracle actually partnering with all the hyperscalers like Azure, AWS, and the latest announcement of last week, hot off the Oracle World Conference, that Oracle signs up with AWS on hosting their own databases. So this is making, while on one side enterprise is extremely happy that we get the best of the world for us, it also creates a very small nuance, looking at, hey, I've decided multi-cloud. Now, how do I operate it with all the fellows, either competing or cooperations? So now I don't need to completely change my database or things like that. I have the choice to pick what I need. On one side, it is a great advantage. On another side, this puts a slight pressure on, am I taking care of my financials well? So if you look at this slide, audience will know that entirely this particular single public cloud is very, very minimal. I'm sure that small portion of team or enterprises or small and medium segments or cloud native firms who were born only in single cloud, they may look at options, that's for sure. And it's going to be all blue in a couple of years. So multi-cloud is going to be the norm. Then comes the question of within the multi-cloud, how do I look at my own private as well as public? What do I do? So, for the next, 20, 25 minutes, I'll talk about my experience and the way we are seeing how the adoption is, and very clearly on the topic of what should be the core principles you should adopt when you go for a multi-cloud options. Okay. So that this gives enormous confidence. This was the trend, but when Flexera did the analysis, it was very nice. They really got the core of responses. Customers responded nicely. They really accept that while I like certain cloud providers, I do look for multiple options, and then that puts a lot of activities from the CTO side, the technology architecture side, even the businesses now have they can demand questions to the cloud center of excellence, saying that, hey, there are new things I'm listening. Is my enterprise leveraging it? That puts good options, but again with some questions, and that plays. I thought it's a teaser to our own cloud caddy solution we are coming up in the next year. Now we are only in two clouds, Azure and AWS, and GCP version will be launched very soon. With that, we will be in three major public clouds, and we are working with a couple of customers on their private cloud interfaces. What should be done? What should be the strategies? I thought we'll pencil it down in today's session. Let's look at the next slide. Uh, I briefly talked about it. Maybe a couple of minutes I'll spend on it. Um, the one, today we are a series of FinOps solution firms. So I'll be focusing on the FinOps side of it. Uh, while governance, security, compliance, and other pillars of cloud management is being taken care of, this particular one element, whenever I meet customers or when I talk to the industry, I see that each one has slightly unique pricing, extremely advantageous models. Absolutely, everyone wants to give the best value for cloud investments to the customers. In the process, it's making it sometimes difficult, or hey, by signing this deal, did I miss out on something? So it's a question of the fear of missing out in terms of costing for public cloud. And when you run workloads, everything is running seamlessly, smooth. And when you get this pressure of cost, sometimes you see that, oh, maybe I should have made another look at it. So that particular thing is an issue. There is no easy magic wand solution for solving it. So we should look at that particular point. Unique pricing models by everybody. And when we manage multiple cloud platforms, there are fantastic tools in the market. Even cloud providers, they themselves give cost visibility tools. The biggest challenge is apples to apples comparisons, whether it is compute or storage or SaaS or platform as a service model. Is my visibility comparing very nicely? Am I able to look at the price points of each provider for the workload I'm running, for the time zone I'm running, for the regions I'm running? Is there a very good comparison I can look at? So it's a kind of, I don't want to call it, a disturbing feature of cost visibility, but it is fragmented. So you need to bring out a common forum. You need to bring out certain steps so that the end customers can view things saying that, oh, I signed up here, this is what I'm running with the cost, and I signed up here, this is what I'm running with that. So I'll let Sindhu, my co-host, go to the next slide, and I see that. Yes, okay, wonderful. Um, so what could be the third and fourth, which we looked at it, is more of, can we bring the FinOps practices, the trend from, I would say, last 5 to 10 years, where bring out the entire data, analyze it in a common place, run the whole exercise. So that was a methodology adopted. Then came this process of tools like Cloud Carrier, which makes you run your cost management within your own enterprise. That is zero data in, zero data out. So the highly secured, highly intrinsic managed applications, or in AWS we launched like a EC2 image Army products. So cost management became, from a commonplace solution like a SaaS model, it became pertinently important to run it within your environment. And then now we are looking at, how do I bring just the visibility out but the entire recommendations within each cloud environment. So this forces you to integrate solutions in multiple platforms, visibility, observability things, third-party tools like us, or even tools from the industry which gives individual view sets, data sets, and all. So that integrating tool sets, bringing visibility and control under one multi-cloud cost management will be a thing which will be solved over the period of time. I don't think there is a solution, but everybody is trying to bring that up and say that, hey, the optimization I'll run within the platform, but my visibility, my control, my everything should be separate. So that way, this whole hyper cloud, multi cloud platform cost management could be solved. Okay, and so with that being the stage set for, we talked about the adoption. There is definitely multi-cloud. There was no two things about it. Now, within the adoption of multi-cloud issue of visibility, operationalizing it, how do we bring it together? So with a couple of client experiences, I thought over the next 5-10 minutes or 20-15 minutes, we will cover what kind of challenges we are facing and how are we solving it for very specific customers we have. I think there are 5 strategies I would say to be numbering it, to be put it up. One, we put up this word focus, and it's from FinOps Foundation. They over the last 2 years there was a committee, and they came up with an extraordinary metadata base for the tagging and the cost allocations, and it was extremely uh, powerful to see. Even all the platforms were part of that. It was an exercise by industry. It was an exercise by everybody. And third-party products like us, we immediately adopted it. We got that to getting the focus framework, bring it into your particular cost analysis and view. That is one way of making the data consistent by viewing across everybody. The second bullet point I would say is, you see, contract-wise, we talked about in the earlier slide, there is a pricing, what I call innovation or pricing leverage. Procurements always go with the platform contracts. Either you reserve in advance or you buy more. You can go to a certain level. You can definitely optimize. You can look at different versions. Keep working hard on getting the commercials for each provider, each cost. But what's happening is ultimately all the workloads are running in a certain amount of compute storage and a particular PaaS model. Optimizing usage becomes a necessity, an important thing, and that's where in earlier sessions I've covered it as an efficiency engineering for cloud usage. So this particular, when you have multi-cloud, this optimizing usage across platforms, each of the workloads, whether you're running an IO sensitive workload on some platform, you're running a compute on something, maybe you run a data workload layer with multiple platforms on the back end, and you will have two kinds of cost. You may get it from a platform's infrastructure cost, and then you get a database usage cost, the terms which all these tools like Databricks and Snowflake use. You may get two cost elements. Then you're now looking at, oh my God, I provisioned it here for this kind of configurations. Now I have my platform cost. Oh, maybe if I run this product in another platform with my other contract, am I going to get more value out of it? So there's optimizing usage and right sizing needs to happen for data workloads or even compute and MLOps and all kinds of workloads, making that you need to bring it very core focus on usage. Whatever you provision, if there is an over provisioning, it has to be corrected very quick. Take some calculated risks, simulate and find out that, hey, this is the method to my rights, initial adoption, whether we did lift and shift or cloud native development. There was a estimation, but when I'm running it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or even for 6 months, I see that my usage patterns are not going to pick an industry number like an 80th percentile utilization or 70th percentile or 90th percentile, and stress the systems, and then try to make value out of that investments you did on cloud. This gives enormous amount of strength to the development team as well. They look at it, oh my, okay, this was the fundamental, this is how we sized it. Now we are seeing that I can skew it a little more. So the future sizings and future workload migrations, as well as future entire planning, and why always I talk about estimation as your predictions will become much better, so that you understand that this is how my workloads are running, these are the platforms, this is the cost elements, and that gives me a better way of right sizing and making not only savings, but we call it spend right, spending the right amount on the cloud. The last three points are very similar to what I spoke earlier. It's better to have the visibility of cost on a centralized platform, but the optimizations has to live within the cloud provider. Your logic, your recommendations, your engine, your sweet spot of how am I going to optimize where based on utilization, because you're using cost data, you're using logs, you're using time series data sets. It's an extraordinary amount of expense to export all those, run it in a SaaS, and bring the recommendations back. So sometimes when you run products, if you're running it on a different SaaS model, you may see that your regress costs are going up. So in that sense, I think the visibility has to be central, but the optimization has to be local. So it has to run in that kind of model. Then the last two ones is negotiating with vendors, which continuously you may have to do it. And the last one is automation and governance. And I hope, there are products, I think, like us as well as other companies who are creating a bit of automation, what I call self-curating systems. But there's an element of caution people do for self-curating in FinOps. Because if you stress it too much, the end users will start seeing the delay, then the customer experience may go a little bit south, and nobody wants that, because there is a trend of, hey, we all migrated to cloud, but is it the right solution? There is a little bit of trend of cloud repatriation going on. Along with that, if FinOps comes and initiates a lot of automations, and by mistake a couple of customer experience goes south, then there could be topics of discussion on everything. So for the FinOps, while it is fantastic to have a single click automation, but self-curating and running has to be looked at, and that's where the governance comes in. So rather than allowing engineering teams to oversize to start with, maybe put in a little bit of governance of, okay, you need this provision, why do you need it, what are the reasons you're taking it, do you think the workload will reach this stage very quick, are we running samples, can we make this provisioning of capabilities over a period of time. So the governance has to be a little more automated. So one FinOps automation, be it at the human in the loop, higher than any other self-curating system, have a little more control with the FinOps group, and then have the governance in such a way that the future wastages can be controlled. So these are the five, I would say, right from the beginning, if you recap, tagging and cost allocation, and we all have the industry, and we should thank FinOps Foundation for that. Fantastic way of looking at all focus compliance specification. Then again, and put your energy, even though we are doing vendor negotiations, put your energy more into the usage component. Educate the teams, have a common data set, sit with engineering, sit with finance, sit with operations, and say, hey, is there a way that we can operate it much better? Can we drive efficiency out of it? And when you start thinking, that's where the engineering will change. Maybe they lifted and shifted, it was running, but when you deep look at it, maybe you will refactor some code. Maybe you will go back and do rehydrations. So it prompts you, it nudges you to do things better. You will be happy about it, and then bring the visibilities and negotiations and automation and governance. I think these five things, if someone takes up FinOps and continuously does it, these are the ones which we found as most important topics. Okay, now once we do that, then comes this question of culture, cost management. While we are doing that as a task, uh, here, I call it as adopting a culture. That it has to be, while the data sets may be bottom up or from business units down, the FinOps culture has to be driven right at the top. Definitely CFOs and people who budget the cloud cost and things are going up or down, they are excited. But to an extent, it is a CX level initiative. Most organizations, be it at the CEO level, they have to look at it and say that, hey, we are spending or we are utilizing these public cloud things, and my CTO and CIO, CFO are extremely happy with it. But can I have a view of it? What are we doing with? Is there a way we can create efficiency out of it? So it's a collaboration between finance, ops, and engineering. It's a topic to be taken very seriously. And tools, there are, a lot of companies analyze, there are tools. There are tools like ours, which is Cloud Caddy, but there are market tools which has been operating from governance, monitoring, security, and concern. There used to be an interesting trend a couple of years back, S&P, I think, I forgot, maybe I'm wrong. They did an exercise and found that on an average, most multi-cloud adoption companies are having 2.3 FinOps tools. So because it's money, it's cash outflow, it is a saving, everyone has to be very cautious that am I wasting resources with all those things. People look at a couple of tools and there is nothing wrong with it. And once you look at a couple of tools and then you think that, oh, this has unique way of solving my problem, not only for now, but the product has features, methodologies, the company has a vision to solve my issue for next 3 years also. So those kind of tools may get completely adopted. So that way, having FinOps as a team, the practitioner-led FinOps is a fantastic thought. That's the way it should be, part of cloud centers of excellence. But using a tool or a product to make the life easier for a FinOps engineer makes much, much better sense. And there, don't limit yourself to, oh, I have this tool, so that's doing everything for me. Keep an eye out. There are new tools are coming with new features. And that's something using FinOps tools. You may start with a couple of products and then you will boil down to one or two. Regular reporting and forecasting. I just put up the word forecasting. Forecasting is a extremely important point for FinOps. We talked about it. Once you get a full grip of what prices I have with each of those providers, how am I going to use it, what kind of reserved cost I have, and is it certain things are amortized, certain things are not amortized. So there is a financial term, and when you reserve for 3 years or 1 year, where am I staying, how confident am I to do a higher reservations. When you do, your head will think like, oh, is it something very similar to my old data center world? You do a large investments, capital investments, and depreciate over a period of time. But cloud is supposed to do mostly, what you pay, what you're using. So you will be pushed between the two. So that way, forecasting becomes extremely important when you have clarity of thought on visibility, observability, as well as what I'm going to use, what will come up in my way, and what flexibility I have, that even though I have these contracts, can I swap it back and forth, or can I change it? Can I have flexibility to, I committed for a little higher, can you give me a feature? So these important things will become an element of best practices. And finally, continuous monitoring. And mostly FinOps, I've seen a couple of companies, they take a lot of effort. The moment cost is under predictability or control, there is a tendency to focus heavily on to other new projects and everything. So FinOps should not be just that, oh, I'm set, I did it well, I'm happy with it. Rather than that, it should be not a forgotten approach. It should be continuous optimizations. It should be a continuous exercise. And that's where you have alerts, you have notifications and things like that. And that makes actually the future adoption becomes more efficient. So this is a continuous exercise. So I've seen, now slowly I'm seeing over the last year, people are making FinOps as a continuous exercise rather than one-time element. So it's not a set and forget. I like that word. So it's not a set and forget it, but you need to do continuous monitoring and work on it. Okay, I think we are running out of a little bit of time. Sindhu, next slide, and then we will open it up for. Okay, oh, very nice. So that's where it is as a multi-cloud. I think if I recollect points for the audience, one is to look at your own focus implementation, which is fantastic for tagging and all the metadata. Then your common visibility in one place for multi-cloud, but keep in mind that don't bring the entire optimization out of the individual cloud. You're going to spend enormous amount of expensive data in, data out, and all kinds of challenges. So we recommend do the optimizations within the platform, but bring the visibility out so that at least you know that where common platforms work. Then followed by your own governance, your own maybe to the top of single click, less human in the loop. Remedial systems, self-remedial systems on FinOps could be good, but to an extent that there should be a control setup. And all other elements of product-led, but a FinOps practice implemented solution. So they're having a product, having a look at it, and doing all those is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, Sindhu, and this will help. I hope this will help the audience to have a view of it, a collective view, sit together. This will make them a coffee time thinking. These are all the 5 points. Are we doing it? Make check marks and continuously do it. All the very best for the team who are listening to. Thanks, Sindhu.
Thank you, Madhu. Unfortunately, my camera has blacked out. Sorry about the technical issues, audience. Hope everyone can listen me. Thank you, Madhu, for all your insights, strategies, and thoughts. Definitely, it would benefit the audience who are listening to. Definitely a coffee time thinking. So, with this, before we close the session, audience, we have our final webinar in the 5-part webinar series scheduled next month. It's on the topic Cloud FinOps as a Service. So, interesting topic. We'll be opening the registration shortly after a week or two. Do follow our company page to get the recent updates and all the technology updates we post. With that said, thank you so much, audience. Thank you, Madhu.
Thanks,
Have a
Sindhu.
great
Thanks,
day.
everyone.